Welcome and congratulations on buying your Paladin C147 high-performance aircraft. A couple things we want to start off with. First off, this is no video game. What we're dealing with now is a fully functional radio control airplane capable of altitudes of up to 250 feet and, depending upon the wind conditions, speeds in excess of 50 miles an hour. So, the first thing we want to say is that this is not a beginner's aircraft. This aircraft has very unique flight characteristics. It flies very well, but it takes an experienced RC pilot to fly it. Not saying that you can't, but you just can't take it out of the box, put the batteries in, head off somewhere and fly it. We're going to go over the procedures, the safety that's involved, and some great tips to help you get off the ground and land it successfully. But the major thing, if you've never flown radio control aircraft before, make sure that you get someone that is experienced, that understands how the controls work, and can help you. And if you check in your local area, you'll find some radio control clubs out there that would probably be more than happy to work with you. All right, let's take a look at what we have. First off, our transmitter. We want to make sure that the batteries are fresh and new that we put in the back. The 4 batteries that go in during the instruction process, we go over how we do that. But make sure the batteries are in and that they are fully charged and up to date. Next, we're going to turn the transmitter on. We make sure that the lights are green, everything's functioning. The next thing we're going to do, once the transmitter is on, we're going to turn the Paladin upside down. We're then going to take our battery, making sure that our battery has been charged with our charger and that the battery is fully charged. We'll take our battery and we'll connect it into the aircraft. Once it's in, we'll put the panel in the back and make sure it's all secure and good to go. Make sure the back door is locked in nice and tight. All right. Let's check our control surfaces. Elevator up and down, and throttles. Now, let's talk a little bit about how this airplane flies. The only control surface on this aircraft is your elevator. Your elevator is basically set up on this right-hand stick. If you pull back, it'll go up, neutral, or down. So this is going to control the pitch of the aircraft. That's it. Everything else is controlled by the thrust of the engines. We call it vector thrusting or asymmetrical control. If I move the stick to the right, right engine moves. If I move the stick to the left, left engine moves. So what we have in flight, when we give full throttle, both engines produce thrust. The plane will be pulled forward and flying. If we need to increase our pitch and go up a little bit, we'll add elevator. If we need to come down a little bit, we push the stick forward and we pitch down. If we want to make a bank to the right, we move the stick to the right. And what's happening is the left engine has more thrust than the right, and the plane will turn that direction. When you make a turn to the left, we move the stick to the left. The left engine has more thrust than the right, and the plane will head to the left. Now, there's some problems that you need to be aware of. This is a high-performance aircraft. Once the engine is shut off, you no longer have directional control. With the engines off, all you have is pitch control. So you have to keep that in mind when you're flying this aircraft. Most of the time, you'd like to be at about 80% power. When going into a turn, you're going to have to add some elevator in the turn. As you come out of the turn, you may have to lower your throttle down a little bit. So the basic flight characteristics of this airplane are you have full function over your elevator. You have asymmetrical thrust with your engines. And together, you're going to coordinate this so you take off, climb out at a nice 30-degree angle, a gentle turn to the right, come around, level out, fly the plane, set up for an approach, and come in for a landing. It takes an experienced pilot. But here's some things you can do right out of the box. First practice is put it on the ground, go to a nice big park somewhere where you're not going to bother anybody, that you're allowed to be there, and practice taxiing on the ground. Do not take off. Add your throttle, and steer it on the ground. This ground handling will get you familiar with doing figure eights, because when the airplane comes at you, left is right and right is left. The controls are reversed. So you need to practice. So right out of the box, you have it fully assembled, you can head to the park and you can practice on the ground and get a lot of experience. Then maybe a little hop off the ground and bring her back down again. But again, I cannot emphasize enough, do not just put this together and throw. Remember, the product is warranted for manufacturer's defect. It's not warranted for pilot defect. So we want you to have a good time and want you to have a lot of success, and it is a great airplane to fly. Speaking of flying, let's talk about where to fly it. You want to go to an open area that you're allowed to be there. If people are around, don't fly. You need to have an area where you can fly this plane. If something was to happen, you lose control because you lost perspective, that it's a safe environment. Safety is the biggest thing when we're looking at radio control aircraft. First off, the Academy of Model Aeronautics at AMA is a great organization to get involved in, teaching you how to fly and learning more about the hobby. But Ubisoft did something really unique. When they took the video game from a virtual reality and then morphed it into actual reality, it adds a whole new dimension to the whole flight experience. So, couple rules of thumb. 1, make sure you're an experienced pilot or you have someone to help you with this aircraft. 2, make sure your batteries are fully charged. 3, make sure the weather conditions are good. High winds above 6 to 7 miles an hour could be too strong for this aircraft. If you have an experienced pilot, maybe 10, 12 miles an hour. Novice pilot, you want a very calm day. Number 4, wherever you're flying this, make sure no people are around that could get hit with it or in the vicinity of if something goes wrong. This is a fun plane. You'll have a lot of fun with it, but you got to follow the safety rules and regulations. So, with this, I wish you the very best. If you have problems, you can contact us at parkflyers.com to help you with any of the parts you need or any of the setup or training aspects of this. Other than that, best of luck on your mission.